Manual relationships are ways to create a relationship between items in one category to items in another category. So the example we're going to use is in our Section 2 starter project, and we're going to reference our products and create a relationship between those products and the rooms that they belong in. So I have this list of products here. And if I go to my room data sheets, I'm going to go to all data sheets. And you can see here are my actual room types or room data sheets. So we'll go into one of these like the classroom. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to select from my list of products items that belong in this classroom. And so we're going to start by creating a relationship field. So we can do that in several ways. I can either hit edit fields right here, or directly inside of the view, I can hit this plus button. And you'll see that down here, there's a section called relationships, and I can just click on relationship. Now, this is the settings for the actual relationship field. And you'll notice that we can choose from a list of 3 different relationship types. And so in the following videos, we're going to cover automatic and spatial relationships. But this video, we're only going to talk about manual relationships. So inside of each room data sheet, I want to be able to choose the equipment and furnishings that should be present in this room. So I'm going to name the field equipment and furnishings. I'm going to make sure that manual relationship is selected. And now I'm going to choose the category that I want to pick from. And in this case, it's going to be products. Now there's a few other configuration options here. So number 1, this checkbox here allows you to create new items in the related category. And I'll show you an example of this when we're picking the products that belong in these rooms. We're going to leave that toggled on for now. But if I want to disable the creation of new items, I can turn that off. We can also disable the navigation to related elements by clicking on the rows, and I'll show you that as well. Next, we can choose our selection mode. So this is essentially saying, okay, for each room data sheet, I only want to be able to select one product. This one is each room data sheet, I want to be able to select multiple products. And here we want to have where multiple room data sheets can select only one product and multiple room data sheets can select multiple products. So in this case, we're going to choose this many-to-many relationship here, this multiple room data sheets to multiple products. Lastly, I'm going to turn on this quantity selection. Inside my classroom, I can not only choose the products that should be present in this classroom, but I can also choose how many of them are present. By default, this is turned off, but we can turn this on. When we turn that on, it's going to ask us if we want to sync these quantities back and forth, which means that any quantities that I select in my room data sheet, should that be reflected in the relationship. Lastly, inside of this settings field, you'll see that we have a selection box to choose which fields we want to display in the table. And so we can modify this directly in the table, and I'll show you that in a second. But in this case, I'm just going to add a few items. Like let's choose the item tag, let's choose product images, and let's say the type. We can also choose which ones show up in the selector field. So in this case, like let's say I want to show the type, and let's say the product images as well. All right, we're going to create this field. And now each one of these room data sheets, if I click into them, you'll see at the bottom here, they have this new equipment and furnishings field. So for my classroom now, I can specify what equipment and furnishings belong in this classroom. And these are all based on the items that are present in this products category. So let's start by linking a few products. So in this classroom, I'm going to click link, and we're going to say there needs to be a office chair, and I'm going to choose a couple tables, and we'll select the lounge chair as well. So you'll notice the reason that these products show the type and the product images is because that's what we actually showed in the relationship settings. So those fields that we made visible are the reason why it's showing up and displaying this way. Now, I can also show additional fields here. So like, for example, if I decide, oh no, I actually want to show the item tag, I can turn those on, as well as I can search for new items and add a filter to filter down this list even further. But once I've made my selections, I can hit save. And now you can see what happens is it's now linked the office chairs, the training tables, and the lounge chair to this classroom. Now, off to the right-hand side here, this is where I can set the actual quantity of these items. So let's say, for example, I need 4 of these chairs or these tables. I can choose 4. Let's say of the office chairs, I need 20 of these. So instead of just hitting the plus or minus button, I can type it in. And my training table will keep that at 1 and my lounge chair at 1. Okay, but let's say that I actually need a end table inside of this room as well, but I don't have the product existing yet in my products category. This is where I can hit this plus button to create a new element. And what this does is it creates a new product in the products category that then I can fill in the information for it. So let's go ahead and click that plus button. You'll see that what happens is it creates a new product. And if I click on any of these items in here, it's going to take me to that item. So this is where I can then define this product. I can say this is an end table. And I can proceed to fill in the details of this item. You'll notice that when we click on a related element, it actually shows us where we came from. So in this case, I'm looking at the end table, but it shows me the kind of breadcrumbs of my journey so far. So you can see that here, this is telling me I came from my classroom. And so I can just click this button here to go back to my classroom. And you can see this product is listed right here. Now, clicking on any of these products, again, is going to take me to that product's listing. So if I click on this office chair, you'll see that I'm looking at the details for this office chair, and I can review any of the images or field data accordingly. What you'll notice though is that there's this field, this relationship field that was created that links back to that room data sheet. So you can see that it shows me my classroom, and it shows me that there are 20 of these chairs in this classroom. This is because we chose to sync quantities between items. And now I can link this chair from this side to multiple other room data sheets. So let's say, for example, that this also belongs in the computer lab, this chair. I can save it. And I can define how many there should be. So let's say 24. So now my computer lab has a link to this office chair, and it knows there's 24 of them. And if I click on computer lab, you can see that my breadcrumbs at the top show me what my journey looks like. And if I scroll down here, you can see that I've got this office chair, I've got the product images that are shown here, and I have the quantity of 24. Now, as I mentioned before, with any of these related element fields, you can actually also edit the fields that are visible on the table by clicking on this button right here. So this is where I can remove, let's remove the FF&E type. I can remove that field, and you can see it disappears from my table. Relationship fields can be shown directly inside of your table view or gallery view by turning on the visible field. So in this case, I'm going to turn on my equipment and furnishings field. And you'll see that what happens is it's just going to show me a preview of the items that are linked along with the quantities of those items. Okay, I filled in a few more details for my equipment and furnishings here. But let's say that instead of just showing the equipment and furnishings that belong in each room, I may want to look up data from inside of each one of these equipment and furnishing relationships. So I'm going to click on the plus button to create a new field. And if I come down to the relationships section, you'll notice we have this new entry called equipment and furnishings. That's because we created a relationship between the products category and my room data sheets category, and it's showing that relationship here. So now any relationship that I create, I can dig into it further to display specific information about the items that are related to each one of the items in this category. So inside of equipment and furnishings, let's say that I wanted to show the product images of all of the equipment and furnishings that are linked to this item. So I'm going to say furnishing images, and I'll create that field. And now you can see what it's doing is it's just going to pull in all of the images of every single relationship that is tied to this item. So if I click on it and scroll down, you'll see that it's pulling in all of these images, and it's because of these relationships here. So if I remove one of these, like let's remove this reference to, let's say this training table, and I'm going to do that by clicking on the quantity button and hitting remove. You'll notice that the image disappears from my field here. So we can do the same thing for other properties as well. So let's say that inside of equipment and furnishings, I wanted to just aggregate the FF&E type. We can title it and create the field. And so now you can see that it's going to show me specifically a string of FF&E types here, and I can show and hide the quantity of each one of those. We're going to talk more about customizing these type of lookup fields, because behind the scenes, what this is it's really a formula field. And what we can do with any of these is edit the actual formula behind it. But we're going to dive into that deeper here in a lesson that's coming up.